Welcome on the channel Voices of Reddit. Today we have an intriguing story about the
I grew up in a poor family where every penny counted. From the moment I was old enough to work legally, I juggled multiple jobs while balancing school to help support my family and my younger sister, Lily, who is 16. Whatever money I earned, I spent on her and our parents. I wanted her to have the opportunities I never did. When I turned 18 and was accepted into college, a significant shift happened. My dad's business, which he'd been nurturing for years alongside working two jobs, finally took off. This meant that Lily could now enjoy a normal high school experience without the shadow of financial strain that had always loomed over me. While I was away at college, I wasn't in close contact with Lily. My studies kept me busy, and I assumed she was thriving with all the new opportunities our parents could afford. But glimpses from her social media painted a different picture. She had changed drastically, surrounding herself with questionable friends and engaging in risky behavior. She posts videos of herself drinking excessively, smoking weed, and even driving under the influence. Concerned, I reached out to her multiple times. Each time, she brushed me off, insisting I was overreacting. "This is what the cool kids do now," she say. "Not everyone was a nerd like you in high school." A mutual friend from high school reached out to me with even more alarming news. She told me that Lily was dating a guy from another school, a known delinquent who sold drugs and had been expelled from Lily's high school. When I confronted Lily about it, she denied everything, growing increasingly distant. Then, one day, I received a phone call from my mother, her voice trembling with sobs. Lily was pregnant. I was stunned into silence, a whirlwind of emotions crashing over me. Anger bubbled up inside me. I had sacrificed so much for her, given her everything I could despite our poverty, and our parents had worked tirelessly to provide her with a better life. She had every opportunity to succeed: extracurricular activities, academic tutoring, anything she wanted, opportunities I never had, and yet, she had thrown it all away. The father was none other than her delinquent boyfriend, one who sold drugs and had been expelled. My heart sank. I tried to process how my little sister had ended up here. She began bombarding me with calls and messages, pleading for help. She wanted to crash at my place, asked if I could make her a doctor's appointment, and even inquired if her boyfriend could stay over sometimes. I was sharing a small apartment with two roommates. There was no space, and even if there were, I couldn't bring that chaos into our lives. I told her firmly that she needed to face the consequences of her actions. If she was old enough to engage in adult activities, she was old enough to handle the repercussions. I refused to enable her. She continued to call and text incessantly, claiming she had nowhere to go and was living in her boyfriend's car. My resolve wavered. Slightly considered sending her some money, but I ultimately decided against it. I felt guilty, wondering if I was being too harsh, but I also knew that bailing her out wouldn't help her in the long run. In the days that followed, I learned that my parents had disowned her permanently, but as a cultural expression of their immense disappointment. We're Chinese, and while disownment sounds severe, it's often a way for parents to express that they've been deeply hurt. The door was still open for her to return home if she was willing to apologize sincerely and make amends. She chose not to, preferring to stay away to avoid their anger and criticism that, in my opinion, she needed to hear. I reached out to her again, sending a long message outlining steps she could take: returning home, seeking counseling, taking responsibility. She ignored me, offering only curt replies until she stopped responding altogether, worrying not at me when she wouldn't pick up her phone. Then, unexpectedly, my parents called. My mother, her voice filled with a mix of relief and lingering sadness, told me that Lily had returned home. She had arrived in tears, begging for forgiveness, ready to accept the consequences of her actions. They had a serious conversation where Lily apologized for her behavior and promised to change. They scheduled a doctor's appointment for her the very next day. When I reached out to Lily to express how proud I was of her decision, she was initially hesitant to open up. After some gentle prodding, she confessed what had driven her back home: Her boyfriend, one who was supposed to support her, had asked her to start selling drugs for him if she wanted to continue living in his car and eating the food he provided. He was exploiting her vulnerability. That was the wake-up call she needed. She broke things off with him, realizing he was more than just a bad influence. He was toxic and dangerous. Earlier this week, she made a difficult decision to terminate the pregnancy. It was a heavy choice, but one she felt was necessary to reclaim control over her life. My parents have decided to pull her out of her current school and enroll her in a progressive private school known for its supportive environment and excellent counseling services. I believe this change will provide her with a fresh start and the guidance she needs. I'm planning to visit my family this weekend to see Lily. I want to be there for her, to support her as she navigates this challenging time. While the past few weeks have been tumultuous, I feel hopeful for the first time in a long while. Lily has a chance to turn her life around, and I intend to help her every step of the way.